morning, and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. Now, this morning we are talking about a lot of things that are happening on the political scene and more. But to have this interesting conversation with me this morning, I have the honor of sitting in studio with the Honorable Ayanna Webster-Roy, who is the minister in the office of the Prime Minister, and also responsible for Gender and Child Affairs, NACC and CAS. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Shenell.
Now, it's a pleasure to have you in studio with us this morning. We know that you are extremely busy, so taking time off to come and sit in studio, we truly appreciate it. And giving Tobagonians an opportunity to hear what you have been up to. You know, you hear comments like, we're not hearing from the two Tobago representatives. They've been silent on a number of issues. So this morning you are here to, voice your opinion on a number of things, as well as give us an update. But when it comes to the allocation that Tobago has been given in this 2024-2025 budget, I listened to your budget presentation and I heard, you as well as your colleague for Tobago West, just indicating that everyone would like to have more.
And that's the reality.
Right? Everyone would like to have more. And you think that Tobago's ability to develop and accomplish a number of its goals has more to do with better management, less corruption, and less petty politics. Tell us a bit about that.
And I stand by that. Good morning again to you, Shenell, and good morning to Tobago and the viewing and listening audience. You quoted me quite well when you said that I noted that everybody would like more, and that is the reality. In preparation for the budget, we have the opportunities to meet with the Minister of Planning and Development as ministers, and you pitch a case, you outline your plans for the coming fiscal year, and you advocate. And then you have the opportunity to meet as a team with the Minister of Finance as well as the Minister of Planning and Development, and again, you have the opportunity to advocate. But as I said in the budget as well, it's a small pie, and we all have to benefit from it equitably. I think Tobago's allocation is quite reasonable given our current revenue situation, and I believe that we can achieve a lot with the allocation. We just have to be very prudent in our management of the resources. And I used an example during the budget debate. I spoke about at CAS what we would have been doing, and I noted that for consecutive years, we didn't have a line item for a very critical program that I'm passionate about, and that is our July-August internship program, where we provide an opportunity for young Tobagonians to get on-the-job experience and earn some money to help them prepare for going back to school. And I said, even though we don't have a line item, every year since that program started, we have reprioritized our program, realigned our resources, and found ways to ensure that we create this opportunity every year. A minimum of 20 Tobagonians benefiting. Sometimes we get less participating, but a minimum of 20 persons are catered for. And that is what we do. We try to ensure that the limited resources we have, we stretch it, we use it to the best of our ability. For example, again, at CAS, we don't get a large allocation for the nonprofit institution vote. But we make sure that the organizations, the individuals that approach us for funding, we explain to them, this is what we have, and this is how we can help. And we try as much as possible to reach as many organizations across Tobago with the limited resources and the allocation that we receive. So again, I stand by what I said. It is a reasonable allocation given our current economic situation. We just have to make sure that we manage and manage well, reprioritize, look for what is most critical for the development of your people, and channel the resources there efficiently and effectively.
Excellent. And when it comes to some of the ideas that the THA has for development, let's just look at one project, for example, improving housing by, building more affordable housing for young professionals and young persons. How can a dream like that be actualized across different divisions with such a limited budget?
Okay.
And those projects that you support?
Yes, so you mentioned housing, and housing is critical, especially for young professionals in Tobago. We all dream of owning our own home. And Yes, there's a place and a role for the THA to provide those opportunities, either through the provision of lands or the provision of housing units, or even maybe the opportunity for rent to own. That is not something I've heard happening a lot in Tobago, where we give persons the opportunity to own a home through our rent to own program. But that is something that is done in Trinidad. And Shenell, we are Tobagonians. We know we like to design our own space. We want to inform what our dream house will look like. So in a lot of instances, at Tobagonians, well, give me the land and I go build.
Yeah.
And there's been tremendous support from the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development, helping Tobagonians to realize that dream. Just recently, there was a grants distribution in Tobago. And I remember the day after, I would have accompanied Minister Leons visiting some of the recipients. And a young lady said, she said, the money that I got, the start that I got from the Ministry of Housing Development, that's through the Home Construction Subsidy Program and the Home Improvement Subsidy Program. She said the start that I received from that program took me from the ground to where I am today. And she said, by faith, because I'm expecting another tranche, it will take me from here, and she pointed up. She was going another story. So there are opportunities for Tobagonians to benefit, not just only through the THA's housing program, but also from the support available through the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development, through, as I mentioned, the Home Construction Subsidy Program, as well as the Home Improvement Subsidy Program. I just want to make one other point. I've always stressed, and it's something that I hold passionate and near and dear to my heart, the fact that as Tobagonians, we are very fortunate to benefit from two bites of the cherries. When I'm in Trinidad and I see, okay, Trinidadians are limited to this, but in Tobago, we could benefit from a program from the central government and a similar program from the THA. And I often say, I don't know if we as Tobagonians realize how blessed we are, how fortunate we are that we can access both resources from central government and the resources available through the Tobago House of Assembly.
I'm glad that you brought that up, because I was just about to ask, do you think that it's an issue of insufficient communication with Tobagonians to allow them to know that these programs are accessible to them as well? Because there is the mindset that there's a mindset that you go to the THA for what you want in a lot of these cases. It's not a matter of
communication, Shenell. Because I'm a minister, yes, but I'm an elected representative, the member of parliament for Tobago East. And you would communicate. I remember the last public meeting we had in Belgrade, and I said to Tobago East in particular that we must be seekers of information, and when opportunities are presented, we must accept the opportunities. So sometimes we create a platform for persons to get information, and they wouldn't turn up. They would reserve a space, and they wouldn't turn up. And I gave the example on the platform of wanting to see Tobago East develop business and commerce and to start driving our local economy. And I indicated on the platform then that we got the support of a business group in Tobago, Robley Baines Accountancy. They didn't have to offer their services to the constituency office to provide a 3-series workshop for free. Persons registered. I took money out of my own pocket to provide catering. And if 40 persons registered and the day before confirmed that they were going to turn up, if 12 came or 20 came, we had a lot. Tobagonians, a lot. And I've said it from since 2015. We don't look or accept information for personal growth and development. But give it back an and commerce, it would spread like wildfire. And I want to use the opportunity again to encourage Tobagonians to really seek out information for your personal growth and development. Forget the politics, because some people say, me like Ayanna, so me ain't going to the forum. You don't like me, but come and benefit from it. Right. Because at the end of the day, we are all collectively responsible for the development of Tobago. And what Tobago looks like in the future is dependent on what we do now, today. We have to ensure that we give up our best, we access the opportunities and the resources, make the best use of it so that we create a better Tobago for our children and our children's children.
But the reality of the matter is, with the allocation given for development, projects like the housing projects are not possible.
They could be a start. There could be a start. What is stopping us from saying, okay, we have XYZ allocation, we mightn't be able to 200, but at least we could get 5 done or 10. We could have impact maybe 20 families instead of the 100. What is stopping us from starting? I don't like the victim mentality. And that's why I know it might sound harsh, but that is how I look at it. I'm very frank. If this is what I'm given, okay, let me see how I can make the best out of it. And I go back. Even at Gender and Child Affairs, there were programs that we wanted to run. And I mean, we always get in licks because a child get injured, a child hurt, they're not the minister. A woman gets killed, they're not the minister. There are programs that we wanted to do, and we had to reprioritize. And then we said, okay, well, if we might not be able to get all the funding through our allocation, let's leverage our relationship with bodies. We have received tremendous support from UN agencies at Gender and Child Affairs to roll out a number of initiatives. And for example, there's a national strategic action plan to end gender-based violence and sexual violence in Trinidad and Tobago, 2023 to 2027. The technical support that went into getting this thing off the ground was done with tremendous support through the UN system, UN Women in particular, and under the Spotlight Initiative. And there are opportunities for the THA to leverage those same relationships to see, okay, they may not give you money to build a house, but they may give you support and technical support and so on to do programs for human capital development. And I think more than ever, it's the infrastructure development that we need in Tobago right now, because I'm being very honest, we need to build our people.
And I believe that was the theme for the last THA budget,
and that is
the human.
And that is good, because that is what we need. We need to build Tobagonians. We need to change the mindset. Tobagonians need to stop looking at ourselves as victims, but recognize our inherent ability to thrive, to be resilient, and to be productive. And go back to the good old days where Tobagonians really went out and worked hard. People come and ask for jobs, right? And you might go out of your way to create this opportunity. And then when they get the opportunity, they're not productive. Because I saw a fellow on the road that time and I asked him, but I said, but you ain't doing anything? Mr. Fally, give me that work here, you know. That's the response. But because you get the work, that means you're not going to give your best. Because you are given the opportunity, you're supposed to respect that opportunity and give it your best. And that is what we need to be, a change in mindset. We need to be going to really start being better, doing better, for us to bring about the transformation that greater autonomy would present for us. And I use my budget presentation to call on Tobagonians to prepare ourselves for a new Tobago, because I strongly believe whether the allocation would be 6.8 or whatever percentage, with the money, with the right attitude, we could really transform Tobago and make Tobago a force to be reckoned with within the Caribbean.
All right, thank you so much. We're going to take a quick break right here, and we're going to be back right after this. See you soon.
Let's go. It's a brand new morning. Rise up to a brand new.
Good morning, and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. Now, we have been chatting with the Honorable Minister Ayanna Webster-Roy, and we have been talking a bit about the budget allocation and, Tobagonians' ability to tap in and truly benefit from programs that happen both in Trinidad and in Tobago. Now, you indicated that should Tobago support the autonomy bill, that we would see a greater allocation from the national budget, although it's a small pie. But the question remains, if Tobago is to get 6.8% roughly, where would the money come from if the reason why we're only getting 4.3% now is because there just isn't enough?
Well, the 6.8% of the pie might turn out to be the same amount that we're getting now, because if the pie remains the same, if there isn't any increase, if we're not generating enough revenue, then the money, even though it might sound more, may not be able to meet the demands. That's why I keep stressing the fact that we need to be very strategic in the way we roll out our programs, and we have to prioritize. That is crucial. But beyond the allocation, for me, that's not why I'm fully in support of this bill, is the opportunities it presents for Tobago to be in charge of Tobago's destiny. The fact that Tobago now would have greater autonomy over our own affairs and our business. The fact that Tobago now would be able to say, okay, this is our growth trajectory. This is where we want to go, and this is how we are going to do it. We're going to have a greater say in everything in Tobago. So, for example, we're going to have our own service commission. We know of the challenges that exist now. So, for me, supporting the bill is not about the money. It's about all the other surrounding factors that will lead towards a new Tobago. Right. That is part I'm passionate about.
Before you go further, I will allow you to continue on that trajectory. But when it comes to the Tobago Service Commission, I remember a senior public servant saying Tobagonians are Tobagonians' worst enemy.
Oh, Lord.
So even with the level of autonomy over the Service Commission, there are some Tobagonians that may tell you, I prefer someone who doesn't know me to deal with my employment stuff. You know, just because of stuff like, you know, people being vindictive and spiteful when it comes to dealing with persons' appointments.
So we're not going to change?
How do we balance having, you know, independent and proper oversight within these organizations to ensure that persons feel safe?
But that's it. It's up to us as Tobagonians. You said it. She said she would prefer that somebody else, right? Because of vindictiveness, spite, the pettiness. But isn't that something that we could change as Tobagonians? Can't we endeavor to be better versions of ourselves? And that same issue came up recently. I had an activity for men in my constituency. And they noted that the fact that they wanted a safe space where they could come and talk to people, right? But to have a safe space and to talk to people, it means that each individual must decide to be professional one. I don't have to like, you know, but I have to do my work professionally. I have to respect the fact that I'm holding an office and this is what the office demands. And that is something that Trinidadians can't bring and change for us. That is something that Tobagonians have to do for themselves. So what is stopping us from saying, okay, going forward, we're going to put professionalism first. And every individual in Tobago going to look at the eye instead of the outside.
As ideal as that might be.
No, but what's stopping us, Shenell? Tell me, what's stopping us?
I have no idea. I guess it's just a culture.
You know what? You know what
the
problem is? Because too many people in positions of influence not saying it enough. We prefer to hold Tobagonians at a level below the potential to maintain a voter base, to maintain power and control. But if we start speaking to Tobagonians and let them recognize the power and the authority that they have over themselves, then we could start transforming the space. We can start transforming the space.
You were talking about a number of the areas that would benefit Tobagonians in the bill.
Right. Another thing I saw pointed out in terms of Tobago and the way we could improve with the autonomy bill is the way how the child care and protection sector would work. And one of the areas I saw that was identified is the way how the Children's Authority will operate. Even though we now operate with a decentralized model and we have operations in Tobago, under the new arrangement, the teacher will have a greater say in that. One of the things I want to caution is that we have to ensure that whatever we do going forward, that Tobago's children benefit fully and they are not left behind, and that we do not let what we consider our cultural norms to create opportunities for Tobago's children to be hurt in any way. I will leave it like that, and I think you know what I'm hinting at.
Understood. When it comes to the report that was generated under your ministry in regards to child protection, there were a number of damning revelations that came out in regards to what were happening in regards to child abuse in the homes.
It was spanned years of allegations of abuse. That report, the one you're referring to, would have been the most recent one, and that would have been an investigation that we would have commissioned through Justice Judith Jones. coming out of that investigation, a report was submitted to the Office of the Prime Minister. A decision was taken to establish an interagency task force to prioritize the recommendations within the report. There were about over 200 recommendations. One of the key things that would have happened since then was the establishment of what we call a Standing Committee on Child Protection. That committee comprises ministers, the deputy permanent secretaries, as well as key agencies. So we have on the Standing Committee on Child Protection the Tobago House of Assembly, represented by the Chief Administrator, as well as the Administrator in the Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection, as well as the Division of Education, Research and Technology. Correct. Got it correct, right. We also have the judiciary on the Standing Committee on Child Protection. Approximately 72 to 82% of the action items would have been implemented or would have been completed or we are currently implementing. I am happy to note that even though we still have gaps within the system, there has been significant improvement. So, for example, one of the weaknesses that would have been identified was the fact that we had not yet proclaimed a specific section of the Act, and that was done. And in order to help the homes to get themselves ready for proclamation, we would have received monies in the last fiscal year to help them to do infrastructure work, those that needed infrastructure work done, and that was done, and all the homes are now licensed. Obviously, there will be a period for review and all of that as well. Another key thing coming out of that is the review of the Children's Authority, and I mentioned that in my budget presentation. Over the years, the Children's Authority would have received a lot of leaks, sometimes deservedly, right? But what we are trying to do now is to really examine the authority to see if this model is the best model for Trinidad and Tobago, if this is reaping what we want for our nation's children, because the authority caters to some of the most vulnerable boys and girls in Trinidad and Tobago. As I said, we leverage relationships. I want to mention one thing. We have a consultant that would be funded by an agency for us, right? The funding is going to come through the Canadian government, and they're going to fund the consultant to undertake that review of the Children's Authority for us. Once we complete that review, then we know, okay, is it an issue of not enough staff, not enough facilities, or is it that we have too many people on the payroll, enough facilities, but we're just not managing properly? Or is it that we need to do away with the Children's Authority altogether and maybe look at another
model?
Yeah.
You indicated that one of the bigger focuses was the transition out of the homes.
Yeah.
How to help transition these young persons into society. Can you tell us a bit about that and what is happening now?
Yes. So in the last fiscal, we had received funding for a specific project, and under that, we started looking at some of the boys and girls who were leaving the homes, and we did that. Through a whole of government approach, we are looking to see how best we could ensure that whenever our boys and our girls leave our institutions, that they are fully integrated into society. So we did, in this fiscal, we intend to do a tracer study, looking at those persons we worked with in the last fiscal, to see where they're at. One of the things that we have earmarked for this fiscal as well is the establishment of a hostel, because we recognize sometimes when they leave, families either don't want them back, or the communities are not the best communities for them to re-enter. So establishment of hostels, etc. The Ministry of Youth Development and National Service also has that facility available, providing hostel spaces. We know we have Josephine Shaw, that's for women. There are a number of different ones they're going to establish as well. I like to tell people what we are doing. So because might say, well, we're not saying gender doing, but it's not just operating in silo. It's a whole of government.
Because there is that program under the Ministry of Youth, the Agriculture Development Program. So young persons encouraged to make that seamless transition.
Definitely, yes.
These type
and
of
the
programs.
Ministry also, because the Ministry is part of the Standing Committee. So whenever we are discussing, okay, projects and programs, the ministries work together. So we say, well, okay, we're not going to prioritize this for on the Standing Committee. We're going to work with this instead. So Ministry of Youth Development and National Services there. Ministry of Sport and Community Development, because they do a lot of work in terms of community mediation. We have the Ministry of Education there as well. I mentioned the judiciary. One of the projects we have carried for this fiscal year is a review of preventative programs. How can we prevent our boys and girls from ending up in homes in the first place?
Correct.
What exists? Are they working? Do we need more programs, less programs? Do we need to strengthen what we currently have? And that is one of the activities that we have for this fiscal, again, coming out of that Standing Committee on Child Protection that brings together various ministries and agencies, all in the best interest of our nation's children.
Something that stood out to me about your presentation is that you highlighted partnerships that you did with members of the opposition.
Yeah.
And how successful, well, not successful, but how beneficial it was to collaborate with them, and now being in the stage of being about to implement a number of those ideas and projects. It means that you have taken a holistic approach apart from politics to ensure that the work is being done. So in that very same vein, I want to know if you have had those similar conversations with the THA to have some similar projects implemented in Tobago.
Shenell, that is nothing new. That is nothing new. I've always maintained that once we're in positions of leadership, then you not just yourself or your party, it's the wider community. And what best way to build Trinidad and Tobago by first demonstrating it within the House of Parliament, that yes, we could reach across the aisle and engage our opponents in the interests of the people. And in Tobago, we had our Women's Village. That's something that Gender and Child, a program of Gender and Child Affairs. Our Women's Village was a response to us trying to create opportunities for economic advancement for women, because we recognize in our homes, and if not necessarily in our domestic violence shelter, other shelters, clients were re-entering either ours or other shelters because they were financially dependent on the perpetrators. So we created the Women's Village. And when we had that segment in Tobago, we worked with the THA. The Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection were integral partners. We had the support of the Division of Community Development. They would have recommended to us persons who would have passed through their craft programs who they think would have been able to benefit. Health would have recommended women who would have benefited from the REACH program, and that's how we do it. Another thing I want to point out, when we were establishing our children's registry, that was a project started on paper by the former government. When we came in, we took it from paper and made it into an actual registry, established that. And I remember reaching across, talking to the secretaries in the THA and getting the support from the Division of Education and getting Tobago's children inputted quickly. And I remember at one of the standing committee meetings recently, the chief, I was going through some of the problems we were having, and she's like, Minister, well, I said, no, I can't blame Tobago this time. I said, yes, Tobago is well on board. We got the information. Right. And it's about building meaningful partnerships. At the end of the day, you often have to look at who it is that you're serving. And for example, the partnership I will mention in the Parliament with the opposition persons, in the previous Standing Finance Committee, they are the ones who said to me, Minister, we note all these programs you have, but sometimes we not work. If we have, I said, well, come to the table and let's discuss and see how we could happen. And some of them took up the opportunity. I mean, and member Anita Haynes-Alleyne, she came to the meeting. MP Kumutu Mansanela, Dr. Rai Rabbi, he came to the meeting. The member from Moruga Tableland had asked, was invited, she didn't turn up, right? And coming out from that meeting, we were able to partner with the MP for Kumutu Mansanela, his constituency office.
Because you realize a lot of those rural areas as well and have such a big issue with children. And child abuse.
And when he said to me, he said, Minister, he said, we share something in common. We serve rural people. And that resonated with me. And he said, I could develop a program. It might work for me. And if you tweak it, it could work for you. And look at it, it's not just working for him. we adapted the program to suit our national context, and we have been rolling out throughout Trinidad and Tobago. We came to Tobago and introduced it to some of the senior officials of the THA, explaining to them, what is this in the know, and go about how it's going to work. Similarly, with the NSAP, we had discussions with the officials in Tobago, introducing them to the NSAP and how Tobago plays a role in the national response to gender-based violence and sexual violence. And very soon, we are going to be training the staff of the electoral district offices on that same in the know, on the go. To me, at the end of the day, it's the big picture. It's the people. And I often say, I had to live here. I had no place to run and go. I had 3 children I raised in Tobago and in Trinidad and Tobago. And I want the best opportunities for my children and other people's children.
Right. So we want to give the audience an opportunity to ask any questions if they so desire. Now is your time to do so. We're going to take a quick break and we're going to be back as you give us an update on all the plans that you have coming up and projects for Tobago East. See you soon, guys. And welcome back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. Now we have been having a hearty conversation with the minister, honorable minister, that is Ayanna Webster-Roy, who is also the parliamentary representative for Tobago East. And there has been a number of activities that you have been doing, you rattle them off in your speech. But for the persons who were not able to sit and listen to it in its entirety, can you just give them a number of the activities that are happening and that they can be a part of, and some of the things that are coming?
Okay, so one of the things I'm very passionate about in my constituency is an initiative we call Chai and Chat. That is something we established to create a safe space for women to meet, to discuss issues affecting them, and to share ideas, and to grow and build off of each other. Some Chai and Chats have been successful in terms of people turning out, but sometimes people don't turn up. And I want to just encourage women in Tobago East. It's a safe space for us, You don't have to worry. Whatever you say in Chai and Chat stays in Chai and Chat. We learn from each other. I've been able to learn parenting strategies, financial strategies, just from the facilitators and other women who would have attended. We also started something that for the men specifically, I would have mentioned it before, the Hang Jack initiative. I'm hoping to see that grow and not only become a Tobago East initiative, but hoping that the ministry at where I'm at, Gender and Child Affairs, would adopt it, and then make it a national program, creating that safe, fun space for men to meet. And while they're socializing, they also tackle in those issues and, values around what it means to be a man. Also, we have our roving office days. We have our public days. I want to let Tobago East know that every Tuesday and Thursday, we have NETCO coming to the constituency office, but persons not coming and making use of NETCO. They have grants.
So can we from Tobago West come up to Tobago
But
East?
they also in Tobago, your constituency officer. But if it is that you feel that maybe you can't get the time to run in on the days that they're at your constituency office, feel free to come to Tobago East. If Tuesdays and Thursdays are not suitable for you in Tobago East, feel free to run into Tobago West. NETCO is there to serve you and to provide opportunities for your growth and development in terms of your business. We partner with a number of agencies. We partner with an NGO in Trinidad, Caribbean Women Honors and Empowerment, TT, where we had the Period Poverty Ends Now initiative for Tobago East. I want to say thank you to Chawi and all the directors for selecting Tobago East to be one of the beneficiaries of that very important initiative. We recognize that period poverty is real and it impacts women and girls in Tobago and in Trinidad and Tobago. We also provide food support for some of our constituents. Let me put a disclaimer, right? Most of the time when we're doing stuff in the constituency office, the money coming out of pocket, so we can't help everybody in a timeline that you want to be helped, but we try as much as possible to help as many constituents as we can.
So if someone wants to reach out to you for a situation that they may feel requires a heightened level of confidentiality, how do you deal with those? Because those are persons who may not necessarily want to go through the division or through social services. They just want to come, have a conversation and let you know the situation.
So persons come and visit me when we have public days, but you wouldn't believe the number of messages I get on my MP page, and I would respond directly to persons and then try to intervene and assist with situations. Persons also reach me at CAST. I mean, when somebody office and a member of the public asks to see me and I'm there, I tell them come have an open door policy. They could come and see me. That's not a problem. So again, if you want to reach out to the Member of Parliament for Tobago East, you can contact the constituency office at 635-0826. You can also message us on our MP page. Also, if you want to see me at CAST, if you're in town anytime and I'm there, feel free to stop by. I'm open, willing to have conversations with the public. And persons also talk to me by telephone. So I had somebody call me from Trinidad recently on a matter, and I said, okay, well, I'm not going to be in Trinidad for a while, and we had a conversation by the telephone. So I'm open and available to persons whenever.
And the number for persons to contact would be?
My personal number?
No, you're on the constituency office.
635-0826, yeah. But I think the whole lot of people have my number already because it's the same number from ComDev.
Okay, understood. So, I mean, we have to round up this morning's discussion. It was a really hearty discussion. We are happy that you took the time out to come into studio and have this conversation with us. I mean, one of these statements that you made that ruffled a bit of feathers is that Tobago can do what it needs to do with the allocation that
And
it
I
has
strongly
been
stand by
given.
that, Shenell.
All right.
I strongly
You
stand
heard
by
it here,
that.
guys. She stands by everything that she
Yeah.
says. So, we want to thank you. We want to thank our audience for being a part of this discussion. Now, we are not ending here. We're going to take a quick break and we're going to be back right after this. See you soon.